brother, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, I'm for you, yeah, baby, I'm in love for you. If it come down to love for you, let me show you how to love for you.
Y'all about my big bro Gerard in the podcast crew.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hi, Gerard.
Good evening, Dr. Jennings. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Want to say hello to you, to all the listening audience, and we are excited to be back in front of everyone again for an exciting topic. For those of you who might have joined us the first time, we are doing a not one, not two, but a 3-part series all about to date or not to date in 2026. Those of you who heard our first episode, gave us feedback, comments, left remarks, messages. Thank you for chiming in. It was a great conversation. We started the first episode talking about what is it like currently dating? Why does dating feel so hard in 2026? And so it was a very lively conversation where we talked about how men and women now feel about relationships, how we are now really like relying on these dating apps. And those of us who are like tired of those dating apps are deciding we're just going to stay in the house. We're not going outside because we don't know how to talk to people anymore. So many conversations, topics were generated from our first episode. And we are so excited to be back in front of you again with another important topic for part 2. This was too much to put in like one episode. So you get to see of it. So Gerard, what is your feedback on our first episode and kind of just how we talked and how that conversation went for you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Hey, do you hear any feedback? No? Okay. I don't hear it anymore. Okay, yeah, this is a good question. The first one, for me, I enjoyed. I always enjoyed sharing the screen with you. Couple house rules real quick for the people out there. Make sure that you liking, sharing, tagging other people, bringing them to the discussion. We're going to have a very spirited discussion. I want y'all to make sure that you're interacting with each other in the comments too. And like always, we're going to make sure we share as many comments and let the great Dr. Jennings ask questions as we see fit. So, but the feedback, Dr. Jennings, that I got from the first show was they was able to follow along and really understand like what you were saying. So you made it easy, and you called some people to go back and examine self. Like things are changed. Things have changed, you know, from when we were 20, 25 years old, passing strangers in Walmart or passing them down, you know, on the block in the neighborhood. Those days are gone. I'm not hanging on the block. I don't know about you, but you know, but how do you meet people now is a real thing, right? And people turn to social media, dating sites because they're easy. But I think people struggle with like, what does it look like? You know, how do you present yourself? You know, these coined phrases, you know, ready to date now, dating with a purpose and all that. So you did cause a lot of people to really examine their expectations and if their expectations align with what reality is.
Yeah, I have been one of those people myself, which made it easy to like relate. And, you know, I'm planning this upcoming event and it's caused me to just ask the question to people, how are they feeling about dating, about like face-to-face interaction? And I'm realizing so many of us have been scarred or hurt before that we're carrying that on like to where we are now. And it's causing us to kind of like lose hope and lose like our dreams and like we don't have to do that. And so that's kind of why we're having this conversation. How can we work around talking so that we can move forward in a healthy way, Gerard?
Yeah, absolutely. And the title, when you named it, To Date or Not to Date in 2026, I like that you put the year on there. You know, we're a society. Sometimes we need a reason to reset, you know, to get rid of the old thinking, the old way of doing. And that's kind of what we want to do here is hey, 2026, you may have tried it in the past, but don't give up. Let's, you know, use this as a starting point to try it again. So that's where we are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So anyone that's listening in, please, like this, the floor is yours. That's where we're at. So if you have any comments, any feedback, please like leave it, join in the conversation. We don't have no problem talking, but we want you all to be involved. We want you to be engaged. Give us your feedback because this is part 2. It's going to be a lively conversation. So Gerard, on this part 2, you know, we are now like picking up and kind of discussing what's really blocking us from love.
Yeah.
Initially, we talked about to date or to not date. We talked about like all the external things that existing, like how that personal interaction, it's caused us to be lazy. Actually, that's to me, that's a simple word. When it comes to like, you just want to like scan and push forward. And the whole thought of being able to like make yourself look presentable, go actually like, you know, out the person, track that person, not stalkish.
Right.
Like do some background and build yourself up and get ready to like possibly court this person if it's, you know, one-sided. And then from a woman's side point, being able to be gracious and like soft enough, if we want to put it out there, to like be able to receive when someone is coming to you, right? Because I think some of us have such a barrier up that it's hard to even allow people into our space to like come and address us. So let's start there, like the first impressions of, you know, the mentality that our men used to have, the mentality that our women used to have. How is that possibly blocking love from coming into our life, Gerard?
Yeah, let me pick on the women for a moment. You know, nothing personal, but you know, you talked about mentalities, and one that I hear often is my daddy raised me. I grew up around men, you know, so I know how men are, or my dad taught me how to spot a man that means, you know, good. So a lot of times I've seen women go in and guard it, right? And you talk about how this whole idea of self-sabotaging. Let me use this as a scenario. If that was what you told me, like, hey, my dad taught me to spot BS in men, and my brothers, I seen how they treat men, so you know I got my guard up. I'm gonna hear that and automatically think like she's not gonna be all in. So guess what that's gonna make me do? It's gonna make me reserve, draw back, and not even give you what you may be expecting. So just like that, we have created the situation that we want to avoid, right? And it's two people that are on edge, not trusting, not giving their all, and really that relationship is doomed to fail from the jump.
Oh, that's good, Gerard. Because that has become so like natural conversation and ingrained probably for so many women, where that's their script, and they think that they're, you know, setting boundaries, being assertive, whatever that looks like for them, you know, that we kind of hear that you have to kind of do to avoid, you know, this or that. So I love the fact that you're addressing, we bring a lot of past like trauma or things that may have been information from someone else that may have been burnt and have passed that on to us, even if it's good intention. Sometimes it's been for someone else who have been hurt and they've passed that on to us, and we're accepting that as being like the Bible of truth and not really addressing the person who's in front of us, which is, I think, so important also.
Yeah, that's good. And if you just think about those statements just at their core, like how I would just ask women, how do you expect a man to receive that? If you're talking about expectations, right, with self, how do you think a man is going to receive that? Like, hey, I don't trust men, or my daddy told me this. Or here's another one, Liz. Hey, I hang around nothing but men because I don't like women, right? And men, I'm telling you, when we hear that, it's red flag all day long. So again, just being aware with these statements and consider like, how is the guy that you're showing interest in, how is he going to receive that?
Okay, I love that. So now let's flip the script.
Okay.
No, you talked about it from the first impression, what a woman puts off. So I want to kind of come at you with sometimes what we hear as women from a man.
Okay.
So this man is trying to ask you out on a date, and you might hear, you know what, I've been burnt before, and I'm not going to get myself married again or whatever. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to give my all because I've been, through things before.
Yeah.
Now, when we hear that, I know on one end that becomes like just a natural conversation. This person is talking about what they've been through. But for a woman who might be wanting to be open, to be loving, to not even like judge where it's going, but to like let this let their heart possibly be present as opposed to putting on a front or shield, that automatically kind of puts up that shield even when we didn't want it to be there. And so just like you shared what women may have been through and how that looks like protection for them, I think for on a woman's side, that's what sometimes we see in a man and how that shows up for us and are receiving it.
Yeah.
So my question to you is that something that women should just expect, or how can a woman gently communicate to that man at the beginning that may be setting them up down a wrong path as opposed to just hanging up the phone, or deleting?
Yeah, it would be nice if it was just one right answer, right? You just hit the switch and everybody live happily ever after. I think it's a number of things. One, I think there's this dual responsibility. I think men, just I picked on the women, men should heal for whatever that caused that pain. I think if I'm going to date you, you deserve the best version of me possible. Now, best is subjective, and that don't mean perfect, right? But I think there's some foundational things that should be in place. And part of that, Liz, in my mind, said is self-awareness. When just like I said, I'm cringing as I hear you say that. That some men are leading discussions, introductions like that. And if that's how it is in the beginning, I seem like I'm telling you from the jump, like, hey, don't trust me without saying these words. Don't trust me. Don't push me too hard. Because if you do, I'm out. Right. So I think this part is the man needs to heal. The other part, and is another consideration. Can the woman talk that out? Because sometimes people say something just because they're used to it. It's a coin phrase, and it's like, hey, I've been burnt right here. And that doesn't mean that he hadn't necessarily done the work. Maybe he's not aware that those words can spook a lady. And maybe she can push back, unpack it a little bit more. It's like, hey, are you saying that you're hurt from a past relationship and you're not wanting to move forward? If you ask me that will probably trigger me like, hey, right, that didn't come out right. So let me, reword it. So I think there's a couple ways that you could potentially handle those situations.
Yeah, I love that, Gerard. If you have been someone who have done some therapy, because that is that. Let me reflect on what's been said. Let me give it back to you. Let me work on effective communication in a relationship.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's how it shows up. I love the fact that you just automatically gave those two sides of it, because that's what you see.
Yeah.
Someone who has done the work and, went through therapy and really learned, okay, how can I show up better before I go into this relationship, versus someone who also may still be in that point. And even if you address it, some are at a point where, wait, I can be open enough to receive that. You know what I mean? I can take the feedback. Others you can tell if someone isn't ready, because you will probably get a really quick clap back. From that response, as opposed to that realization of where you're saying. So I think that's really great.
Yeah. And I like part of the notes that you sent. It says protection becomes self-sabotage, right? And it's saying, if I'm leading with that, I can just see for most people, they're like, yeah, no. Now, with that being said, Liz, there are those that say like, oh, okay, I know how to love him or her. They have shared their emotional, issues or challenges. So let me go into fix it mode. And I think that could be just as damaging or more damaging, right?
Yes, I completely. And it's so funny, when we think about where we are, right? I think one of the things that we're going to talk about, and this is probably a good time to bring that in, Gerard, is understanding when someone is truly ready for a relationship, that level of maturity when it comes to that state of being ready, right?
Yeah.
Now, maturity does not have anything to do with age, because you still have 60, 70, you know what I mean, in that fix it mode where they just like, this is all I need to do is like, life has taught me, but I've been in this relationship for so long, or I haven't been in it. And this is all I know is if I see something that's wrong and I really want this relationship, I'm going to do whatever I can to like make this work. And what ends up happening is that if that person isn't healed and they start being dependent and we have this codependency that's happening, then there's this level of regret or resentment because I put all of this into trying to fix this thing because I wanted it when it wasn't healthy in that endpoint. So really understanding, Gerard, what maturity level looks like for readiness for a relationship, I think is something that we should kind of talk about. Because you hear people saying that they're like, oh, I'm ready for my spouse, or I'm praying for this person, but they haven't done any work to really be ready, or even like a long time to like sit with themselves, to get to know themselves so they can be like mature going to relationships. So what sets that level of maturity when it comes to being ready for a relationship, a healthy one?
Yeah, that's good. I've seen that the statement that says when it comes to maturity, age ain't nothing but a number.
Correct.
Right? It does not identify your maturity. Now, it can influence it tremendously. Sometimes some years on this earth will teach you something, but your ability to process it and reflect and give it back in a healthy way is really what that maturity is about. I was talking to a good friend earlier, Liz, and he gave this analogy, and I had never heard it. I think it was profound. And it might just be me. You might think like, that's nothing. But he said, the glass that you put in front of you, is it a window or is it a mirror? Yeah, is it a window or is it a mirror? And the idea is if it's a window, you put it in there, but you just still looking through, trying to figure out what's wrong with everybody else. If it's a mirror, you're reflecting on self, looking at yourself and wondering, like, what can I change about myself? And I think that mindset is part of what makes one mature minded and ready for a relationship. It's easy to identify, faults and flaws in everybody else, but are you ready and willing to do that with self?
That's really good. That's powerful.
Yeah. So I'm looking at one of the comments right here. It says, knowing your and others' capacity. I think that's really good in the mindset of understanding what maturity is. We can have the biggest hearts, and desires are huge and tremendous, right? And we're ready to move forward. But what is your capacity? Your ability to not just show up, but for yourself, which is important, but for the other person. And the title, and I told you, I think we had this discussion before the show. We have all these ideas of what we want in a relationship. And sometimes we don't give enough thought into, if we get everything we want, that other person has some wants and desires too. Am I what the other person wants and desire? And I think we need to start looking at it like from that, am I a catch? Not only is that person a catch, but am I a catch as well?
So let me ask you, Gerard, another thing related to that, that you brought it up. And I know there's some controversial about it. The whole, am I a catch versus what am I bringing like to the relationship or to the table or what have you? Like, is that a similar thing or a different thing?
Am I a catch? What am I bringing?
Yeah, those two concepts, like, like what are you bringing to the table versus like knowing, is that a different thing or is that the same thing?
I think it depends, right? There's so much ambiguity sometimes in that, like where you're from, how you was raised, what you've experienced. I know a person who lost her first husband, and she got married, lost her husband. He was great to her. He was a provider. He was a protector. Not that she didn't, give and contribute to, but he was like this steady presence. She used the word that he was peaceful. He was polite, but he was stern. And then she remarried, and it was the total opposite, right? But she went in there with the mindset of, you know what, I didn't get to enjoy that for an extended period in my previous relationship. So I'm ready to do it again. And here's this guy telling me that he's everything that my first husband was. And she jumped in there and it was nothing like that. So she knew what she wanted. I think there was a lot of unknowns on how the passing of a first husband affected her, but he used the information that she shared to manipulate her, to take advantage of her, and to abuse her, essentially, right? So I think knowing what you bring to the table, some people, the table is not ready for what you have. And yeah, and in that instance, that was her situation. She was ready to love. I think the right guy would have received that well, but unfortunately, it was for the wrong person. So I think it varies, from person to person, situation to situation.
Yeah, that's so good. And just when we're talking about what's blocking us from love,
Mhm.
some of us, like you said, have done the work and are ready, right? We
Mhm.
took the time, we've done the healing, and we're just ready to show up like whole in this situation. And you meet someone and that person isn't completely there,
Yeah.
but they have potential.
Oh, yeah, greater potential.
Like, how do you feel about that? Because I feel like a lot of people may struggle with this topic. And I
Yeah.
know we hear like we say don't marry potential, but does it say to go the same thing of don't date potential or don't befriend potential? Because maybe we can talk about those levels of friendship, taking a little bit of time to getting to
Yeah.
know versus jumping into something versus marriage. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts
Yeah.
on that part
I
a little.
think you nailed it when you said, dating versus marriage, right? Obviously, we all know that there's no perfect relationship, no ready-made relationship. You just got people that want to try to make it work for the most part, but people don't possess some of the simple skill sets. Like when you say you're ready, don't date potential. Again, I think you got to qualify it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he could potentially start managing his money, right? Or I don't know, or he's in between jobs, but he's good at managing his money, but you know, he just got this certification and he's on his way. I think those are different situations. So I think it depends on what it is, what your the potential, and to this comment again, your capacity. Like, what are you willing to take on? Are you okay with being patient? Are you expressing and communicating your expectations? Like, hey, in the next 2 or 3 years, or 5 to 6 months, or whatever it is. Because when you enter that situation, Liz, I think you owe that person your all, right? I think what happens a lot of time is people go in with these unfair or unrealized expectations sometimes, and you end up with resentment, right? And good luck when you start to resent a person, and good luck coming back from that, because it's tough. So I would never say as an absolute don't date potential. I think you got to understand what it is that you're dating, and if you're willing to help develop and grow that person and whatever it is they have potential in
Oh,
too.
that's good. And I also think like what you shared a really great point. The potential of seeing someone who can navigate through like maybe finances
Yeah,
versus someone who can navigate when you're hoping for potential for emotional like growth and change.
yeah,
Like one you can see more deeply happening, or you know what I mean, you can have a plan, you can do this part. The emotional side of it not so clear, right?
mhm,
Like when it
mhm.
comes to supporting that, like if you're someone who seeks certain type of, you have a capacity needing certain type of love provided to you on an emotional level, and that person may check all the other boxes but emotionally like not even like know how for and this can be the man or the woman,
Of course.
navigate through that part of it can be really challenging
Yeah.
because you really don't know the end outcome of that. Financial things you can kind of work and see, okay, you save money, there's a plan, this, But let's maybe talk about the emotional side of how that might be impacted. Because I think a lot of people get hurt, their heart hurt
Yeah.
because of the emotional lack that they're having. And to me, sometimes this goes to really seeking extra relationships, some of the other things that you may have, because that never gets full along the way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think for a lot of people that have put in the work, that if there's an emotional disconnect or the other person is emotionally immature, it's usually a non-starter for some people. And that's different. I think you got to understand when a person is having a bad day too, uh, versus when, hey, they just so Tasmanian devil type hellraiser, right? Those are two different people, and I think it's important to know that. But here's the thing: I think we get ourselves in trouble not realizing, like, when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s, that's different from starting a relationship in your 20s. That's just my perspective. We're not usually, you're not trying to have children. You've, probably got kids and, parents and assets and all this stuff that, that you're trying to figure out how to marry these things now versus 20 years old and you're starting off together. So I think that's one, is understanding that at your later years, it's a little different when you start in relationships. And I think you gotta not be experts, but you got to know how to have those conversations. And one thing, just to get in my military background, when you go through leadership school, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know how to reference everything. So are you connected to the right people that can go and help you unpack some of these questions so that you can figure them out? But back to the beginning, Liz, emotional immaturity for a lot of people who put in the work, it becomes a non-starter. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I think I'm going to pause for a second, because let's say that person is in process and maybe working with working with a mental health professional or working on that portion of it. I think that's where I still sometimes that word called grace, understanding, like, you really have to be aware of what your non-negotiables
Yeah.
are. Because to me, I think a lot of people are confronted with what we just talked about, Gerard. And we can say like it's a non-negotiable, but if someone is really like, they've befriended this person, they start at the friend stage, so they know that this person has been through a lot and they're trying to work through something. To me, if there's some history with that, and then that person is working through some of that, but it's not like, I think there may be a time limit or something has to be established to say, after a certain point, I won't let go so much of myself.
Yeah. I don't know. So let's be more specific then. So if we're somebody, if I'm dating you and when you get angry, you use some good choice words and it's just unloving language. It's some F-bombs and you storm out, you shut me off, you don't want to communicate and you disappear for days at a time. So I'm talking about, when I say immaturity, I'm saying like that. Not just like, hey, I got some growth to do, because that's everybody. But when it's toxic,
Yeah.
in that levels right there, that's kind of what I'm saying is.
Yeah, I need another word for that.
Okay.
Maybe you can't say it on here because I don't think that's emotionally mature. I think that's someone that has like disrespected you, and so there's another name for them or whatever. But I get it.
Yeah. So that's just me. And again, it's not a one size fit all. It's not an absolute, but I think it's something that anybody, when you see those signs, I think you need to ask those questions. Like, is this how it's going to be? Or is this person just having a bad moment, that, she or he is working to get through? And I think that's important to consider. So we got some comments coming through. Can we jump on some of these before?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So
we said this is going to be a hot conversation. So
for sure. Again, this is the Floor Is Yours podcast, where we make sure we give a voice to our listeners and followers. So if you're out there listening and you got a question to ask the great doctor, please do, and we'll make sure that that we get to them. Or if it's a comment, you just want to chime in on the discussion. So we got a few hellos. Some of my favorites, Coley and Ron, and it always does my heart good, Dr. Jens, when I see my cousin Doris on there. She's a first cousin. Um, Chrissy Perkins, she says hello and good evening. And a good Army buddy of mine, Shalonda. Okay. Um, Barbara Diaz says, knowing your and others' capacity. So we did talk about that earlier briefly. So how important is it to know your capacity when you enter into dating?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think what we just kind of talked about, like knowing where you're
Mhm.
at whatever stage you are, and what your non-negotiables are in a relationship, what your expectations like for you. Like I think sometimes you need to know that for yourself before you like dump it on someone else, and get clear on that. Because if you're sitting here and telling someone like this is what I want, this is what I expect, like you just shared, that person's just like check, 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 taking notes
Right.
and like, okay, this is how I'm gonna show up, this is what I'm gonna do. So you're really not getting an accurate,
Yeah,
exception of what is in front of you sometimes, because
absolutely.
people can be manipulative with that. But I think knowing it for yourself, what you will, your non-negotiables in regards to relationship before you go into it, is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. We got my childhood friend Corey saying he's checking in. Appreciate you, Corey. And Sabrina is saying hello. This is another one of my Army buddies right here. Benny L. Rogers is what we call him. But he said depends on where you are in life in a relationship could be good. I think we were talking about the capacity too. I think that's what he's talking about. Like what are you willing to accept? I think it depends on where you are in life. Um, Christine says communicating upfront regarding expectations is important. And you know what? This is one of those things like it's so important, but it's become like this corny phrase that people say it. And then I've learned that I have to like stop and like, what does that mean to you? Because it means different things to different people. And some people even struggle with expressing like, what does it mean communicating up front? It was like, well, I want a woman that cooks and that she just be there for me. I'm like, okay, unpack that. And people struggle with it, right?
Yeah.
So I think if it was a place that I would like the audience or anybody to really work on is expressing, being more expressive of what you're looking for and not just use like short phrases like, hey, I want her to be there and to be there for me and to love me. Like, what does it mean to love you? What does being there mean? Kind of thing. So
Yeah, I agree. So one of my favorite things now that I've been talking more to the opposite sex or whatever,
Mhm.
is really just to like sit and allow that person to talk to me. Not where it's like a question answer segment but where that person is able to just like flow with where they've been, what they learn, where are they going, and what do they want for their future. Like, and I love it when I don't necessarily even have to like prompt, you know what I mean? The list and
yeah,
then the response, the list, the response, but it's a natural flow. Cause to me, that person is more like in tune to really expressing
yeah,
like their truth. And that's to me, that's the difference. There's hearing someone honestly share their truth versus this is what I'm supposed to be. This is how
yeah.
I'm supposed to show up. This is how I'm supposed to put on that best front. So that part of it I've learned really allows me to like, see a different side.
I like that.
So how about you? Like when it comes to, are you noticing, or we put it both out there. We're both like, I'm gonna share my status. I am single. Like, where are you at, Gerard?
I'm single.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're out there and you're talking to like women and things like that, and at the very beginning, is there like, let's maybe talk about this. When do you decide to move forward with dating versus move forward with getting to know someone? And how long should that process be?
Oh man, that is a good question because I think sometimes people conflate that, right? I'm getting to know you is also the dating stage too. So I think if you're gonna make them two different time periods, like you have to be direct and express that, like, hey, I'm just getting to know you because some people, um, if they're dating or getting to know you, they looking for some exclusive like interactions. Like I'm just use me and you. If I'm getting to know you and I see you out here getting to know other people too, even though we're not in a relationship, I'm probably gonna feel some kind of way about that, right? So I think understanding if we're dating, if that's not the same thing as getting to know someone, I think that should be like no confusion around that right there.
So this is a really great question. To date or not to date in 2026, how do you know if you're dating someone?
Hey, I guess you got to do more than just see it, right? You got to your expectations, they got to be known. And sometimes if you know that you're potentially seeing someone of some great value, some great worth, I think you got to recognize that, right? And just know like that person may not stick around forever while you're trying to figure it out, right? All dating is not created equal. You know, that's not to say that anyone is more valuable or less valuable than somebody else. I'm not saying that at all. But I think you got to know what that person is looking for, and maybe y'all can come to a happy median. Maybe she wants more, he wants more, and the other one don't. But state it and don't drag that person around for the hope of like, you know what, buying time, you know.
Okay, so let me ask you straight up. Do you go to a woman and say, "Will you date me?"
No.
So how do you like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I let her come ask me. I'm just kidding.
What does the communication look like when you go from a stage of I saw someone,
Yeah.
I'm curious, to a state of I want to date you?
Wow, you know what's crazy? I've been out the game for so long. Maybe I forgot how to date, but I think, you know, so I have been, when I've met people, it's been through someone introducing us.
Okay.
So it was with the mindset that we're going to potentially date. So
Okay.
that was that. But I'm just thinking, like, if I just met somebody and I was and I want to show interest in her, I don't even know what I would say. I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, when we talked last time, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
First of all, women don't have men like approach them anymore. And I think men kind of struggle with how to approach what I've seen. Maybe just sharing, y'all. So, you know, I'm new to back to this again. It's been 10 years of like really not like dating because I was married, and then so this gap. So I'm learning it too. What I'm seeing is I'm really big on communication, right? I
Mhm.
love like the friendship thing. I really don't want to, I'm sad. I don't really want to go out just yet when I just met you. That's why I'm a person that's really like on that. Like if we're going to transition from just getting to know each other to dating, I'm curious to know what that transition looks like, because along the journey, what I might get is someone saying, "Hey, I see you work out. Can we work out together?" Or you know what I mean? Or someone says, "I want to take you to dinner."
Yeah.
Like, at what point does it transition to the dating phase of that?
Yeah. And I'm here to tell you that some people are gonna already think you're already dating.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to state your intentions and where you are and what you're looking for at that moment, and
That's
then where
good.
you're trying to go. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad we're sharing this, because those who've been out the game for a minute, I don't think like when we were younger, Gerard, you'd write a little note on the paper,
Yeah.
do you like
Right.
me?
Yes, I
And
know, right?
you don't do that no more.
Yeah. Even before that, the whole drop the handkerchief to show. But it's different. It is different. So you talked about that guys don't approach women. And with a lot of guys, they don't like rejection.
Mm,
So really, in most times, the ball is in the woman's court to show that she's interested in a guy. And now she's just put herself out there for the potential of being rejected. But that's kind of how a lot of guys feel. Like, yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
So how do we change that possibly? Because that's kind of going away from the whole, and I'm just going to share. sometimes what happens as people move further on is they want the man to be a lead, a lead and all that. But if they don't start the process, and if a woman is always like the initiator or the one that starts it, at what point does she not have to keep calling him or following up, or is it just a hey, and that's all you got to do?
Yeah, once he's interested and he's in that space now to show his interest, even if it's not by words, but his behaviors. If he's investing time, his other resources, money, time, his emotions, meeting friends and family, things of that nature right there. I think a lot of times women take it for granted. And I don't know that they even know that they're taking it for granted. But when you get that kind of attention from a guy and he's ready, and I say a mature guy, meaning that he's ready for a relationship, really. Like, I think you got a short window span, to show back up and reciprocate his attention, because if not, it's like, what are we doing? I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. I know we probably need to take a commercial break.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we got quite a few comments coming in. So after that, we'll get back to the comments, and then we'll continue the discussion.
Okay, sounds good.
Real men talk. If I had a group of brothers that I could confide in, a group of brothers that encourage me to be the best man possible, that hold me accountable for actions, but brothers that won't beat me down when I fall short. If I had brothers like that in my life, I'd open up more about my challenges. I wouldn't be afraid of being vulnerable and transparent. I'd be more deliberate in my actions and not scared of failure. I wouldn't act like everything is okay when I'm hurting inside. Sometimes it seems like there's an all-out assault from the world on black men, and hurtful words from my lady cut deep. I can't show my pain, 'cause if she knew that she hurt me, she would do it over and over again, hoping that each time cut deeper than the last. I do understand that women have challenges too. That's why I work so hard to be the strength she needs. But I need a band of brothers who understand that sometimes I simply want them to listen. Sometimes I need advice, but other times I need a shoulder to lean on. I need a band of brothers that create a safe space that gives us all a chance to talk about our fears. Because it's therapeutic when real men talk. Real men talk. Real men talk.
All right, welcome back to the Floor is Yours podcast. Hey, Liz, the comments are jumping in, but just a little highlight about that commercial, Real Men Talk. So we've been talking about partnering with your organization or your group, Men Shift. And what we're doing is just making sure that men have a voice, that we're putting them in, not putting them in, but they're putting themselves in an environment to where their voice can be heard, right? So that's what we're building men up, giving them the tools, the confidence, just the understanding to make sure, like, hey, sometimes it's not you, other than it's you putting yourself in the wrong environment, right? So yeah, it's going to be a lot there, and let you add to what Men Shift is and how it'll partner potentially with Real Men Talk too.
Yeah, actually at the foundation, what we're kind of talking about, today, a lot of times men get a bad rap as far as how they're showing up when the environment, the connection, their ability to learn by feeling like they have language to understand each other and to improve, it doesn't exist, right? They've either been silenced by how they grew up, they've been silenced by relationships, they've been labeled as, having to be the one to be the blame, and really not having the opportunity to show up in a safe space where they can ask the questions they need to ask, that they can learn from other men who may be at different levels to see, okay, this is where I'm at. This is someone who has been there, and I can actually hear this from a peer perspective and not necessarily just a clinical perspective, or I'm not even ready to do that. So Men Shift is about shifting the mindset from feeling like You have to like know it all, not have a voice, to actually like allowing a safe space for men to come together and talk about issues that really matter without judgment, so they can learn, grow, heal, and actually show up in a healthy way to their families, to themselves, and have a change in life. And so being able to connect with other men in your organization and just different people that are doing positive things, we
Yeah.
want to bring those resources together and start normalizing that. And so that's where we're just excited about that next
So,
phase.
oh yeah, we got a lot of work to do, and we're here for it, and we're committed. So just follow us. Look out for more information on Men Shift and Real Men Talk. So let's get to a few more comments before we get back to the discussion, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So Barbara, appreciate you tuning in. You want to take this one, Liz?
Yes, it says capacity. Capacity, yes. Some people can't actually tap into their emotions, which can create toxicity. That's something you will only see when the masks come off and time. We all wear a certain level of mask. I think that's good. I think we've learned to have our mask, or the protection, based on past experience and what we've been through. And for some people, it takes time to be able to feel safe enough to take that mask off and really show up as yourself. So I do agree. And so in relationships, that's why I'm so big on taking the time to be friends, to get to know that person before jumping into a title, because that gives you that safe space, that buffer to figure out, is this person someone I want to move to the next step with? And if not, you can politely say, in a friendship matter, we shouldn't go there, as opposed to we already jumped there and now we have issues with it. So I love that part of it, that added the component of time before moving too fast too soon.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Got this comment from this guy right here, man. Oh, Joel, appreciate you tuning in. He's an old Army buddy too. We served together in Afghanistan. Appreciate you. But he said, how does marriage benefit men nowadays? Marriage typically have a failure rate of 60%. Who would get on an airplane with a 6% chance of crashing? I'm making light of it, but it's some truthful. Like, why would someone get into a marriage if statistics say that it's destined to fail? You got any insight or thoughts about that?
Yes. Real old school, y'all. Like, and the next thing that when we do start talking, we're gonna, and this is for those who, are faith-based and things like that, we're really gonna add like what really is what's the purpose of marriage, right? And when you get to the root of that, some people, companionship means one thing. Some people really want that legacy of them building things together. Some people really want, when their hearts are in the right place, they really want that connection, where that feeling of oneness, that feeling of being able to build something together, enjoy life together, and have, that safe space means something to someone else. And I know there's statistics out there, but to me, the statistics show up because we've lost the root of what relationships and what marriage should really be at. It's become so rushed, so superficial, that we've lost that. So now we have this number, but there are some people out there who are having that 40%. I would love to like talk to those that are happy, and like let them know the value of what that's looking like. When you truly see a couple that is really in tune and they really are supporting each other and loving each other and, doing the thing together, like that goes right. And because it's healthy. And so we just don't see that, or we don't hear it too often. I'm gonna work on that though. It's my next task to bring up.
You're gonna do good work in that space. And I'll just add that that 40% that do make it, sometimes they have perspective is everything, right? Some of the people that I've seen people get divorced for some of the, in my mind, silliest things, like really you divorced because, in-laws, like that's something that you can control, and influence. So I think people having these tools, sometimes people just get into relationships and sometimes they didn't get taught how to be husbands and how to be wives. So they're going in fighting each other and not fighting for the relationship. And I think that's a big part of it too. So just to answer Joel's, and I know he was married. I'm guessing maybe he's divorced now. I'm gonna have to reach out to my buddy and see what's going on in his life. But marriage, I believe it's a beautiful thing. It gives you some stability. But I think sometimes our picker is off and we end up picking, the wrong person, or our perspective is wrong and we're, not fighting for a relationship, we're fighting each other. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
right.
Thank you for that question. And that's a great response,
Yeah.
Gerard.
Yeah. And then he says it's easy to figure out what men want. I could find you 9 out of 10 women that probably would reject that statement. They don't think that we are easy to figure out. You want to respond to that?
I mean, I think you guys are pretty like upfront. Like there's some who, if someone's manipulating you,
Yeah.
or back to what we talked about, like that immaturity level and all that. But to me, when you find a mature man and you're talking, like he's very clear on where he's at and what he's wanting through that conversation. We just need to listen.
Yeah. I like this one here from a good friend, Vonda. She says, open and honest communication is key. Both parties have to be willing to be vulnerable. And that's one of those things like, yeah, agree wholeheartedly with a statement. I think the disconnect is how to practice this, and not just when it's easy, right? When we're over dinner and the candles are flickering and, what about when I'm not at my best or she's not at her best? How do we have open and honest communication, right? And not just open and honest, but it needs to be kind, because it's like, hey, I'm a realist, so I'm just going to speak my mind. Well, we don't want to leave dead bodies behind while I'm communicating what's bothering me. So you're right. Open and honest communication is key, but I would just say being polite as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And let's get down. Man, they're coming in. Oh, man, look who we have here. Miss Deja, she says, hi, glad to be here. Just a quick story. I'm just going off. Her mother's on here too, Shalonda Goodwater, but I haven't seen Deja since she was 3 years old back in the
Wow.
80s. Yeah, so her on my podcast comment is pretty meaningful. I appreciate you, Deja. And either she's married now or getting ready to get married.
Okay.
Yeah, so hey, well wishes to you and your spouse or soon-to-be spouse.
Yes, congratulations.
Okay. Cool. So what's next? We can jump back into the discussion and keep the comments coming. We'll get to them.
Yeah, thank you all for chiming in, for joining. Lively conversations while we had this be a 3-part one, right? And so I've definitely enjoyed what we've been talking about as we kind of navigate. The next thing I actually want us to talk about, we've been talking about, you brought it up, like the pickers being off. And I know, different people have different beliefs when it comes to faith and bringing that into relationship, but we really haven't talked about that component of it, of how faith and really maybe praying or, having a biblical guide to what you're expecting in relationship or what makes you go forward, as opposed to what we used to say, like our flesh.
Yeah.
What may be good for the flesh may not be necessarily spiritually aside with that. So I wanted us to kind of talk a little bit about the role that faith and, biblical guidance may play in selecting the right person or deciding if we're going to move forward in a relationship.
Yeah, that's good. And we talk a lot about faith, and you and I both Bible believing Christians. So that's our foundation. So that's not everybody's foundation. I would say this. I think we need to subscribe to a belief system that transcends our own fears, our own selfishness, because we're human. Some of the greatest people on this planet are going to have human moments, if you will, right? So what do I do when I don't feel that she is following, my leadership, when she is being loving, when she is overly emotional? The Bible gives instruction. In First Peter, it says, dwell with her with understanding, honoring her as the weaker vessel, right? So when you understand, like, hey, there's a better way if you subscribe to it and follow those directions, and it gives what you stated earlier, an abundance of grace. And we all need that if we're going to be in relationship, dealing with each other, not just on our good days, but also on our bad days.
Yeah, I love that. And also like what you just shared, I think what's happened also, Gerard, is we've kind of like made negative connotations or meaning behind like what we just said, the weaker vessel, right? To me, a lot of women now are saying we want to live that soft life, but then you had it like, a while back where it was like, I gotta be independent, I gotta like, have my own this or that. So when it comes to looking at relationships and really like going back to that whole concept of, and we're not even talking about when you're in it, we're talking about, before you get started as being a guide or whether you're going to date this person or not, you have to be able to, like, if that is something you're following, is show up how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Meaning, if I want to be treated like not weak but soft, you know what I mean, where I want to be loved, or I want to be, I want my man to be gentle to me, then you have to show up in that space as that person who is seeking that. And sometimes we have a hard time. We show up hard, but we want to be taken care of, or we want to be loved, or we want to be this. How do you balance that? Some people may be struggling to figure out.
Yeah, that's good. I think one way is realizing that relationships are about service, right? And servitude to each other. Ideally, you want someone that's, helping to make you happy, and vice versa, right? And it's communicate, and it's a lot of sacrifice. I know some people use the word unconditional. I personally don't agree with that it's unconditional, because there are some conditions based on, that I'm looking for in a relationship. I think it is a lot of sacrifice, and I think when you understand that right there, it puts you in a more favorable position that, again, where you're buying grace. And I'm sorry for laughing, man, but this guy Joel, man, he since we spent our scripture, he said, don't forget the part of the Bible that commands a woman to obey. Man, that guy's
we're listening.
Yeah. So, and so that's, when you're talking about a Christian marriage, it really the example I gave earlier, where you shouldn't be looking at it through a window, but that glass should be a mirror where you're examining yourself. Like, what are you doing, to, not that it lets the other person off the hook, but I think you have to start examining yourself first. Am I who I need to be, first and foremost, so that I can help her be who she needs to be as well. The worst thing that a person do is to be wrong and then try to critique somebody about their behavior.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of hard to get that attention.
Gerard, I want to just share something, or just come back at you. I don't know. I don't like the word sacrifice when it comes to it, because to me, I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as it's such, to me, sacrifice can sometimes mean like I'm having to lack something, or like keep something for myself. When I think of like how I feel about like giving, to me, it's not sacrifice. Like, it actually like warms my heart to like give to meet this person's need. I've always been that way, especially in relationships. I haven't done it in a minute, but every time like lately that I'm like, okay, considering it, I'm already in that mode of, how can I like give and like love, but I don't see it as sacrifice. Can you like maybe talk to me? I don't know if that's a man perspective versus a woman perspective or what, but I'm just curious, because I respect what you just shared. I want to hear what that like means to you.
I'm glad you asked, so we can unpack that. And just to go from a biblical standpoint, it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, giving himself up for her. And then, it goes on down to say that of which he is the savior. So when you understand that example of Christ to the church, he was the greatest sacrifice, if you will. So I'm not saying that a man is going to literally die, for the love, but I think it is a lot of giving, not just when things are good or when it's most convenient. There are going to be some inconvenient times where I'm not my best, or I'm sleepy, or I want to go do some other things, but for the sake of her and our relationship, I will forego what I want to do at this moment and give. So in that instance, I'm saying sacrifice.
Okay. And that makes sense because when they say like a man, he desires respect and the woman desires, like love, I guess now I can kind of see that because the greatest love is sacrificial. So when you're saying, when he has to, when he's expected to go in the coal and go gas up the car or do this or that, I guess I can see on your end where that sacrifice. And then I guess to me, where that comes to respect is because of what, and you didn't have to do, but it's like a natural, okay, he did this, so I want to get up early and make sure he has breakfast in bed, or, these type of things to kind of show. So I guess that's where that respect, is how can I show respect in his love language and stuff like that. So I get it now. Cool.
Yeah. I just want to address this, man. Joel, I'm gonna get to this guy. He's funny, but Barbara, she said sacrifice out of obligation or force breeds resentment, and I think it can. But I think, realistically, and just going off of experience, there were some days where I didn't feel like it, and I did it out of my obligation. Now, that was the exception. It wasn't the rule. But doing it out of obligation, it did buy me time. And then when I saw her smile, I was happy that I did. So I do. This is not discounting anything that she's saying. You're right. If you're doing this totally out of obligation, it can breed resentment. But I think sometimes just for a little while, you may have to do it because that is your mate and she deserves your best. And I'm not talking about a feeling. I'm talking about what is it your duty to show up as your best self if you're in a relationship? I think the answer is yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
And she said, okay, she came back with some clarity. She said forced obligation. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, if I got to force it, I don't want it. You're right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. I'm not going to get to Joel's commitment again.
What is he saying? The floor is yours, Joel. The floor is yours.
I'm going to let you have that one.
Okay. The Bible also teaches us that men has always had several women, oh boy, and wives. Okay, and
yeah, hey, but this is a common argument, right? That a guy did tell, especially specifically when he was talking to King Solomon, he told him, do not have multiple wives, do not multiply wives. So while there were people who did, there wasn't God's plan from them. So,
and I also always go back to the beginning. Like in the beginning, it was Adam and Eve, and they were the ones who were supposed to like multiply and take care of the earth and everything like that. It wasn't like he didn't say whenever he put Adam to sleep. I'm always big on he created one woman for him, and that was his person. So
yeah, we need to talk to Joel. We're gonna bring him on the podcast, and we're gonna let you get him on this couch over
here. Let's go there. Thanks for the comments, though. We all have no judgment here.
Yeah, no judgment at all. So we're kind of running out of time, in which we knew we did this. The conversation is great. We got a lot of comments in the section, the comment section that we didn't get to. I'm gonna ask if you don't mind when time permits to go and you and I both respond to them.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll do.
And out there, y'all interact with each other. I'm not the expert. I know a lot of y'all have some experience. Talk to each other and give each other advice too. And we'll, again, Dr. Jennings and I will make sure we do the same. But this is where we wrap up this discussion, Dr. Jennings, and we let you give us some words of encouragement, some pointers to take back.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This was a part 2. We're talking about to date or not to date in 2026. And, the reason why we decided to have this conversation, for me, it's personal also, because like I have decided that, I'm willing to be kind of open to the process after a long hiatus of developing me and working in purpose. And what I'm noticing, I'm actually hosting an event coming up for our community. And I got approached to do some singles events. And so with that, I'm very intentional, like old school, like, no, we're not going to like swipe right, swipe left. We're going to like get to know each other, do a questionnaire, like, have some standards, really think about this process so that we actually give thought to the process of dating, being intentional about, am I ready? What do I want? These are things that you should consider before moving forward. And so Gerard, we decided to kind of have these conversations on the podcast and bring it to all of you to just get your insight. Where are you at? Those of you who are thinking about dating, who've been hesitant, what are some things that maybe you have to work through? What are some things that you've buried in regards to how you're feeling because of just unresolved things? And what will get you to a point where you might be okay to dream again, to redefine what marriage and relationships, mean and what they look like outside of statistics. And so hopefully these conversations are helping that, Gerard. We're just being as honest as we can about our journey and allowing people to have space to have those conversations. So that's kind of where we're at. But as we transition to one more episode that we're going to bring you all on this topic, to date or not date, we want to just give you something to think about, right? We talked a lot about what's blocking us from love. We talked about religion. We talked about, past things. We talked about unmet expectations, clearly communication, all these things. Where are you currently at when it comes to, your path to either having a relationship or deciding, I don't want to? Are you currently in a situation that isn't healthy? And what can you do to take intentional steps to make that more positive for yourself? So these are like thoughts that we want to roam, but just when it comes to like closing, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no like timeline. But when you're able to come at a healthy place where you're not anxious, you're not aggressive, you're not forcing anything, but you're allowing yourself to take the time to get to know someone, to be clear about what you're expecting, then you're able to be clear about where you're going along the path. So that's what we want to kind of do with these conversations. So to me, that's the closing is really making sure you take the time to decide like where you're at and be honest about if you're ready to jump into a relationship or if you still need to do healing work along the path.
That's good. That's good. Always a great word. Appreciate you sharing that. I hope the people out there are taking heed to what you shared and using it. And my words, just brief, I know we are getting away from rules, right, as a society. But I think sometimes rules are what saves us. Too much freedom can literally kill you. And I'm just thinking about my military years. We had customs and courtesies and traditions that governed how we treat each other. I was on a conference call at work today, and with one of our attorneys, when I at our headquarters, and I said yes, ma'am, to her. She's like, "Oh, Gerard, don't be saying yes, ma'am to me." I'm offended, jokingly, of course. But it's one of those things that just made me remember like some of the things that we used to do that governed our behavior and influenced how we treated each other. When men were going inside, they would take their hats off. They would let the woman go in first. All those little things right there. And I think it reflects your heart. But I think we have lost a lot of that. A lot of it is not even taught anymore. And sometimes the word was used earlier, resentment. Things that have happened and people start to resent people. And it's like, hey, let me go into self-preservation mode. And I got to make sure I'm okay. Or sometimes that neglects the other person. And now you're creating this toxic, situationship more than a loving relationship. So, if I say anything, let's get back to some of those customs and courtesies and traditions that govern how we treated each other. They can seem mean, small and minute, but they are very meaningful and they work big time. So, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So let you give information on this right here. Let you tell us about what this is about.
Yeah, so this is our first upcoming singles event. I am hosting an unwind and greet intentional speed dating experience. It's a small group. We are selecting 10 women and 10 men who really are just willing to like have conversations, to get to know each other. You don't have to necessarily leave and say, this is going to be my boo, but it's about like showing up. It's about, what you just said, Gerard, like being able to practice those small tendencies of, being polite, of having conversations, of doing something special, just because that person is there, not because they have to like, we want something in return. Let's get back to being able to be intentional about getting to know each other and how to talk. And so that's what we're having. It's going to be there's going to be some fun and classy. It's professionals. We are so busy and inside that we don't get outside too often. And so I'm encouraging a safe environment for us to get outside and get to know one another. So we have a few spots left actually, we have one spot left for women, and I have a few spots for men who are interested. This is happening this Saturday. It is from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Gray's Craze in Killeen, Texas, which is, there's going to be food, there's going to be lots of fun, and then we'll do like a round of speed dating, lots of fun things in between there. So yeah, this is what that is.
That's dope. So how can people find you so they can, get more information?
If they connect with me on social media, it's Elizabeth Carter Jennings, my government name. And if you just kind of search Elizabeth Carter Jennings, I'll put in the chat, then that's how you can friend me on Facebook, and you'll see the link and all the posts to be able to kind of access more information about the event. I can share who's going to be participating. Everything will come to you via clicking the link under my page.
And for the people who don't have Facebook, but maybe they're watching us on YouTube, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so the link for the event is myteapartyrentals.com. That's where the you would kind of search that, and that's how they can access the link about the event that's kind of coming up.
And that's on Eventbrite?
That one isn't. It's a website.
Well, okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to the YouTube page and put that information in. And if you're following us on social media, she's tagged in, and we got a question. I'll just let you address this one before we get out of here.
Yeah, of course. Can we send questions via DM? You can send it to mine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the expert. Definitely don't reach out to Joel.
And we have one more following up. So if those of you who send questions, we'll actually probably use that third episode to address more of the questions that you all have. Maybe we'll kind of center that around what we didn't address, and we'll tailor that. So we would love to have you send your questions in so either you can message me on Facebook, or my email is I'll put it in a thing, but it's rememberyoumattercoaching at gmail.com.
Good deal. And send it to me too if you want to, and I'll probably just forward it to her too, so we can get the expert input on that. Though, Dr. Jennings, this was fun. I appreciate you again for using this platform to promote your event, bring more attention to this important matter, to date or not to date in 2026. So this was fun. Hey, out there in the audience, appreciate your insight, your input. Joel said that we got jokes. Man, he the one with the jokes. But yeah, we're gonna come back again. This information is only good if it's reaching the people. So if you don't mind, if you haven't done it, share it on your Facebook pages. Send the link out from YouTube to people who may not be on Facebook, so they can be a part of the discussion too. But this was fun, and we will definitely do it again, right?
Yes. Thank you, Gerard. Thanks everyone for joining us. On the floor is yours.
Yeah. Till next time.
Till next time.
Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.